What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studios series Deluxe Class Starscream from Transformers 1. And before we take a look at the figure, we will of course look at the packaging that he does come in. On the front, a nice picture of Starscream in both robot and alt mode. Transformers Studios series, Transformers 1, Starscream, Hasbro, transforms in 30 steps. On this side, a nice profile image of Starscream, his name Starscream. Transformers Studios series. On this side, you have the rest of that picture going on. Autobot logo, Studio series, Deluxe Class. On the back of the packaging, you have a nice screen grab from the movie Transformers 1 Starscream. Starscream leads High Guard fighting corruption from the shadows. More nice images of the figure there. Transforms in 30 steps. More than meets the eye. Barcode Hasbro. On the bottom, nothing. On the top, Transformers 1 Starscream and Takara Tomy. And one last thing before we dive into the figure itself, he does of course include his instruction manual. You can see a nice picture of him there, 8 and up, Transformers Studio Series, Transformers 1, Starscream. On the back, Takara Tomy and Hasbro. And moving to the figure itself, here is Transformers 1 Starscream in his alt mode. He is a Cybertronian jet, and this is a pretty good figure. It does have some little iffy parts, but overall I think it's a pretty well done figure. But coming in close on the details, you can see nice gold used on the cockpit there with some nice red all throughout, some nice gunmetal gray going up through there, and nice gunmetal gray on all of these guns. Very nice. Some little bit of blue here on the wing. They have that red piece there. On the back, you have your thrusters going on. Looks very nice. Now his hands are sticking out there, which is a little bit annoying. Wish those could have tucked away. And so are his feet. We could have done a little better with this area, Hasbro. A little better with this area. But as you can see, he does look pretty cool. There's the top of the figure. There is the bottom of the figure. You do have all of these guns here on the front, which are removable and do act as his accessories. They are his accessories, but we will take a closer look at those in robot mode. So we will not be looking at the accessories now, but overall, I think he does look pretty cool. And going through some quick alt mode comparisons, once again, we'll look at the included accessories when we get to robot mode. But here he is with TF1 Megatron. We're just going to rapid fire through TF1 figures real quick. Here he is with Sentinel Prime, with Optimus Prime, with Elita 1, still personally my least favorite of the TF1 figures, but this guy, he's in second place, but we'll talk more about that later. And last but not least, with Badassatron, B127, Bumblebee, whatever you want to call him. There he is with some other Transformers 1 figures. And since we aren't taking a look at the accessories until we get to robot mode, that's about all there is to say about the alt mode here. I will say the alt mode does look pretty cool. It's kind of like the Tetrajet that we got with the Bumblebee movie. I think it does look pretty sweet. Just wish they could have done a little better with the bottom area, especially with the hands and the feet. But let's go ahead and transform this guy. So the first thing we're going to want to do is basically untab these pieces, not those pieces. You see he kind of is just all tabbed together and everything just wants to come undone. But you're untabbing these red pieces and swinging them forward. So just swing that piece forward like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Just untab that, swing it forward, and you kind of want to overlap these over top of that piece just to get them out of the way. Now you want to untab these pieces here and kind of get them around that red piece. Take this wing, flip it around. Tab slot right there. Same thing on the other side. Flip that around. Bring that piece out like that. And you can go ahead and rotate these pieces if you want and just get them up and out of the way for now. Now we will come under here to the underside. And basically these two pieces are going to go out. You can see they are on hinges. So just untab them from one another. Bring them out, and then you can untab this gun. We'll talk more about that later. Now, I do personally leave the null rays here tabbed in. You can take them off if you want to, but me personally, I just leave them on there because that's where I'm going to have them anyways. But just bring these pieces all the way around, and then you can bring them back like so. Just bring them back right there on that hinge. Same thing on the other side. Bring it back like that, and now You can untab the arms. As you can see, they will tab into these little areas right here with their little tab and slot connections. So just untab that piece as well and just get those untabbed. You can get them up and out of the way if you want. Now what you're going to want to do is come back here, open these blue panels like so, take the feet, flip them around like so, and then take these blast pieces and untab those, bring them around. Thrusters, not blast pieces. I don't know why I called them that, but just bring those around. Those will serve as the heel spurs in robot mode. Now basically, this red piece here is tabbed in at the bottom of this section, so you want to pull these legs downwards so they will untab. You can see there is the tab and slot connection. Just undo that. Now these legs are tabbed together, but they will probably untab themselves for you. And then just extend the leg downwards on each side like so, and then flip these blue pieces around to kind of fill in that hollow gap a little bit. And there you have his legs complete. His legs and arms are now both done, and we do just need to work on this top section. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just untab this piece and bring it up. You can see his head in there. Just get these pieces out of the way. You can see this chest piece does tab in right there, but you're just going to want to untab that and bring that around, and now we can work on this whole section. Now this can get a little convoluted sometimes, so I'm going to try to do it as good as I can. This piece is on a double hinge. Just bring that down. This piece will come up, and this piece will untab like so and swing underneath like that. Now what you're going to want to do is take this entire assembly, and this will untab and come down like this. Make sure you're folding this piece under as you do this, because that piece is going to end up underneath of this whole section. So just kind of, you want to make sure you get this piece all the way down. It is on a double hinge. That way you can take this cockpit and it will push up in there like so. And that will all fold up into the chest, and that will form the chest. Now make sure you have that piece up like that. And you can see there's a little slot there and a tab there. That will just swing around. Make sure that piece stays back. And basically, if you have everything oriented properly, this should just all slide right in. Something is wrong with mine. There we go, that piece wasn't staying in. Make sure that piece stays up in there. That is a little annoying part of the transformation, but it does make it look pretty cool once you get it done, and I'm glad they didn't use a faux chest. I would rather have a little bit of a difficult transformation than have to deal with a faux chest. Fake pieces are never cool, but now what you're gonna do is just tab his head in down here, like so, and just get his head oriented properly. And then what we can do is just swing around here, and these red pieces will just tab in right there. You can see, just line those up and tab them in, line those up, tab them in like so, and then these pieces will just come back, and you can angle them however you want. Me personally, I kind of just stick them at a backward angle like that, and there you go. There is a very difficult transformation for a deluxe class anyways. Complete, and you have, if he will stand, maybe, STARSCREAM in his robot mode. And it is not often that it takes 5 minutes to do a deluxe class transformation on one of these reviews, but as you can see, this chest section does get a little fiddly sometimes, but I am very happy with the robot mode that does come out. But coming in close on the head sculpt, you can see nice silver used on the face. There is red for the eyes and black for the helmet. Now, one of my complaints with this figure is I do wish he would have had a better head sculpt. That's personally not my favorite STARSCREAM head sculpt I've ever seen. Wish they could have done a little better with that, but still not terrible. Just coming down the body, you have that gold and gunmetal gray, some black, more gray going on in there. Just coming down the legs, some blues, some more gunmetal gray there on the foot. From a side angle, you can see he doesn't have much of a backpack. Now, this piece is also removable, so I'll go ahead and take that and sit that off to the side. We'll talk more about that later as well. But as you can see, the backpack cleans up pretty well. Now, the null rays are removable, but me personally, I'm just going to leave them there because he is STARSCREAM, and that is where his null rays belong. And if STARSCREAM does not learn how to stand, he is really going to get on my nerves. There. Thank you. Now, when it comes to articulation, the head can look up a little bit and down quite a bit. It is on a ball joint, so it does get full 360 and wiggle waggling motion. If you really want to, you can untab it and have him doing that for whatever reason. That's an option that you have. You can move the wings out of the way. They are on a hinge right there. The shoulders on a ball joint, so you can get a full 360 there. They can move in and out. These pieces can also move up and down, and due to transformation, you can do that if you really want to. Me personally, though, I like to leave them down and like that if they would stay tabbed on. Now, they do tab into the arm, which doesn't hinder anything. You can still get in and out motion. You do get bicep rotation. You get way over 90 degrees at the elbow there. Very nice. Nothing at the wrist. Nothing at the waist, unfortunately. Legs can do a high kick. They can kick back that far before they hit that piece. They can almost do a full split. You do get thigh rotation, way over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and absolutely nothing at the ankle. Grrr! Now, when it comes to the accessories, you do get the two no rays on his shoulders, but you also get these two pieces that we've seen throughout this review. You get this blue little gun right here, just done in blue with the gunmetal gray, and then you get this little gun. Really, it's really tell me how you really feel. It's supposed to just fill out the alt mode, but it's a gun. But you do have options with these. You can have him holding them in each hand. You just use that tab and that tab, and you can have him holding those if you want. You can combine them together. Just tab this blue one on top of this one, and you can have him holding that. So that's an option that you also have. If you want to give him this gun, you totally can. Me personally, I just like the way he looks with the null rays. So you do have storage options. Now, for some reason, the instructions tell you to store it like that, which here, let me just show you how that is how that looks. I'm not sure if you like your STARSCREAM that way, but me personally, not a big fan. So what I like to do is just tab it back in how it was for alt mode, like that, and you can't even see it from the front. I don't know why they don't have you storing it that way. So that's how I do it, and this is how I display my STARSCREAM, but you do whatever you wish to do with yours. And now, rapid firing through some robot mode comparisons. Once again, just going through the Transformers 1 figures. Sentinel Prime. Here he is with the leader of the Decepticons, Megatron. So you can see how those two look together. They're looking pretty cool. Here he is with Elita 1, who I'm going to hold because she doesn't like to stand. Here he is with Bumblebee, otherwise known as Parasatron. Here he is with Prime, so you can see how those two look together. And lastly, but not leastly, here he is with a CG image of how he appeared in Transformers 1, so you can see how they did in getting that character into figure form. So that is my review for the Transformers Studios Series Deluxe Class STARSCREAM from Transformers 1. And overall, this figure is a mixed bag. I like the way he looks in both robot and vehicle modes. Other than the head sculpt, I do wish that would have been done a little bit better. And the hands sticking out in alt mode is also a little bit of an annoyance. However, the transformation does get a little frustrating in the chest region when you're doing that whole part. That can get a little bit frustrating, and also when you get to robot mode, the articulation on this figure is absolutely atrocious by modern standards. No ankle pivots, even swivels, no movement at all in the ankles, no waist rotation. I don't really expect wrist rotation from a deluxe class figure, even though it would have been nice. And even getting him into this pose with just his arm barely out is really difficult. As you can see, if I try to move his arm any more to the left, it's not happening. So he is just not a very posable figure, which is kind of unfortunate because STARSCREAM has always kind of been an agile character that can get into some pretty cool poses, especially when he points his null rays at his enemies. But still not a bad figure. I do like the way it looks in both robot and alt mode, and the transformation, other than once again that chest part, is pretty cool. So I will still if I had to rate this guy, give him a pretty good rating. So if I had to rate him, I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10. Far from a perfect figure, but I do still think he will look good on the shelf alongside the other TF1 figures. So that is my review for Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Starscream from Transformers 1. We will eventually get to Studio Series 42 Lockdown. He might be the next review, depending on if new figures come in before I am able to get that review out. So no promises, but we will eventually get back to our journey through the Studio Series. I'm just getting so many new figures right now that I'm wanting to review them before we go back in time. But that's my review for Starscream. Let me know what you think of him in the comments. Don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I will see you all soon with another video, and until then, roll out. Peace!